Hello everyone, welcome to the first part of my Mega Engine tutorial. This tutorial series is about an engine that I created called the Mega Engine, and as the name suggests, it's a classic Mega Man engine. Uh, because I wanted to make this engine as flexible and as easy to use as possible, I wanted to create some tutorials as well to get people going. But before we get into this, I just want to give a quick warning. If you're new to Game Maker, I highly do not recommend using this engine. It has some advanced things going on and you will probably not be able to make a full game with it. And yeah, it's not like you can use it as a level editor either, since you need to add a lot of objects to get a real game. But with that out of the way, let's get into level design. So how do you create a level in the Mega Engine? I'm not going to go over what makes a good level, but more like how you can create a new level. So with that, we go into rooms and copy room example room. This already has all settings you need, so you don't have to mess around with those yourself. Just copy it and make sure to place it under room init. This makes sure that when the game boots up, you'll automatically go to your new level. So that saves a lot of time with the boss introduction, stage select and title screen and whatnot. So yeah, it will just save a lot of time testing. Then go to the settings tab and here call it whatever you want. I recommend starting it with RM and then a capital. So we can, for example, call this room test level. As for the width and height, obviously this is not big enough for an entire level. In fact, this is only one screen big, so you might want to increase these values. Let's say 5000 for width. You can always just change it later, so you can, yeah, you can mess around with it. And here, well, I think it's enough to just say 2 screens high, but you can decide on that yourself. So with that, you can select a background. If you go to backgrounds, then select the background here. This is the background used in the example level, but you can use anything, you can upload your own. And then you can just create a level really. You can go to tiles, select the tile set. I'll use the example tile set, but you can of course add your own. And just play some terrain around. You can go as crazy with it as you want. So yeah, just quickly going to add some tiles here. Almost done. Right, so let's say this is the first part of your level. You can then go to objects and select under player object Mega Man. Here you can just place Mega Man in the room wherever you want him to spawn, and yeah, leave it there. Nothing else is necessary. It will automatically teleport in and whatnot, so you only need to place it in the level. Then if we go to objects and a collision, you have several kinds of collision. Object solid is, as the name suggests, solid everywhere. It can function as a wall, as a ceiling, as a floor. Object top solid only functions as a floor. It does not have ceiling or wall collision. Ladders are ladders, of course. Spikes kill you instantly, and water is an object you place at the top of the water. So if we go to the room here, you can see that I only place it at the top of the water. That's enough. You don't need to place it in all the segments that make up the water, just the top. Alright, so in this case we will need a regular solid. So you can just place that over here. Alright, So now we have a bit of a level. But as many of you know, in classic Mega Man there are certain sections. And what I mean by those is when Mega Man starts a level, he usually has a camera lock, which means that the camera won't get past a certain spot and you need to get a screen transition to get to the next section. I can showcase it here in the room beta. Here you can see that if we slide under this, the camera is locked at the red edge here, and when you reach the red edge, then you just go through it and go into the next section. So how do these sections work in the Mega Man engine? Well, I made them as simple as possible. So if you go to objects and then sections, you have multiple objects here. This may seem confusing at first, but let me explain. It's actually really easy. The first four, section border left screen, right screen, top screen, bottom screen, those are exactly one screen big. So if we, for example, take the left screen, we place it at the left border of our section here, it's exactly one screen high, or tall I should say. And as for right, it's the same. And for top and bottom, they are exactly one screen wide. So you can just make sure that if you only place these objects, you have exactly one screen in your section and that's it. So we can surround these. We can surround our section by these section borders. And now the game recognizes that this within the red border is a section. So the camera will lock here and here vertically and horizontally. Now these other ones, object section border left, right, top, bottom, are a single tile big. So if we go to the top one, we can see that it only covers one tile. This is useful if you, for example, want to make it a little bigger than one section, but not two entire sections like 1.5 or so. And now if we place these at the bottom, and you can once again just select a section by the right screen, and there we go, we have just increased our section size. Now we can also just increase the tiles here. And add some more solids. And that's it. Now as for music, you probably want some music in your game. Well, this actually works slightly differently in Game Maker 8 and Game Maker Studio. In Game Maker 8 you need to go in, well, your Windows Explorer and find the folder that your Mega Engine file is in. There you will also find a folder called music. If you open these, you will find a bunch of music files. And here you can add whatever music you want in your level. I highly recommend using the OGG format because it's rather small compared to, say, MP3 or WAV. So yeah, I highly recommend using the OGG format. You can just paste it here and you can, yeah, then you're all set. In Game Maker Studio, you must go to your included file section and right click it, create included file. Then you just select your music file and it will automatically pop up here. And then you're all set for Game Maker Studio. To actually play the music in the level, you will need to go to your room and then select settings, then creation code. But before we do that, I want to explain one little thing about music. There are different functions for music. If we go to scripts and then sound, you'll see play music volume, play music loop point, play music volume loop point, play music no loop, and play music no loop volume. Generally, you want one of these four. The play music volume, loop point, and volume loop point. What the difference between this is, play music is the most basic version, and the game just plays the music. That's it. For play music volume, you can adjust the volume of the music that you're playing. So if you, for example, find the music a little too loud in its original source, I should say, then you can just adjust the volume accordingly so that it fits in a level. Loop points are a bit harder to explain, but let's say that you have an intro in your music that you only want to play at the start, and then when it loops you don't want to play that intro again. That's where a loop point comes in. You basically loop it from a certain part of the song, not from the beginning, but from after the intro. And play music volume loop point is a combination of the two. You can adjust both the volume and the loop point. So yeah, you can choose between those functions and see which one you need. Now we were at the creation code. Click it and then choose your function, whatever you want. I'll just go ahead with the play music volume, but you can choose whatever you want. So type that, play music volume. Then in GameMaker 8 you want to put music slash the name of your music. In this case I'll just use the boss theme of the original Mecha engine, but you of course can add your own as explained earlier. And I want a volume of, let's say, 0.7. The volume needs to be between 0 and 1. 0 means there's no sound at all, and 1 is maximum volume. 1 is also the volume of the original source, so it can only be used to make it less loud, not louder. But with that being said, in GameMaker Studio you must not put this music in. So you just say buzz.ogg. But that's in GameMaker Studio. In GameMaker 8 you want this music. I'm using GameMaker 8 currently, so I'll have to include this. But if you're using GameMaker Studio, just say buzz.ogg. But with that out of the way, we can test our level. If you hit the play button, you should be able to play your own level. And there you go. But of course there are more tricks to level design than just playing ground in one section. Let's say you want another section, and this time it's exactly one screen big. So you once again go to Objects, Sections, then place section borders. And then place whatever tiles you want in here. I'm also going to place ladders here, because why not? And maybe a spike or two. Yeah, let's put some spikes in as well. Alright. But currently Mega Man stops at the section border here. Automatically Mega Man stops at any border he comes across, except vertically. Here he goes a little above the border, and here he just dies. but as for left and right he automatically stops, and you need to tell the game that you don't want him to stop at the borders. So to do that you go to the objects, then sections, and choose one of these arrows. In this case we want to go right here, so we choose the right arrow and then just place it wherever you want to allow Mega Man to go right. In this case, this entire section here. I see I forgot to place food tiles here, but that's okay. And now once again just add collision. Alright. For collision ladder, you just select the ladder, place it over the tile, and there you go. This is now a ladder. It automatically creates a top solid here as well, so that you can stand on the ladder. And as for the spikes, it's the same. Just select object spike and boom, you can place it there. Now if we test our level, we can go to that section. So you now know how to create certain sections. But you probably also want to create some, to add some enemies to the level or gimmicks or whatever. So there are more objects that can help you out. In the base engine there aren't a lot, so you're supposed to add your own enemies, gimmicks and bosses, but we'll get to those in later tutorials. For now, just go to objects and the enemies folder. Here you can see Mega Man 1 enemies, there are a lot of them, and Mega Man 6 enemies, there's only the Kaltan. So yeah, just choose your enemy. Let's say we want a Matt right here, and maybe we also want a Susie right here. Some enemies also have a creation code, as you call it. Basically you give them certain properties. For example, the Susie can have three colors, sorry, orange, blue and red, and it can also go in multiple directions. It can go horizontally, vertically, and it can also start going left or start going right, start going up, start going down. So to find out if your enemy has any of these properties, you can go to objects, right here, not right here, and find your enemy. Then just open it and look in the create event. There you will see a section called creation code, if it requires any. If nothing is shown here, then it means there are no variations of your enemy, so you don't need to give it any creation code. But anyway, you can see here that you need to add call equals something. And if you set call to 0, it's red. If you set call to 1, it's orange. And 2 is blue. If you do not put call equals number in the creation code, that's fine, but it will automatically just choose red. So if you do want different colors, then you will need to add it. Direction, hor or ver. Hor stands for horizontal, ver for vertical. Its default is horizontal. So if you do not add anything there, it will just go horizontally. And then finally start there for direction equals -1 or 1. Here, if it's 1, it makes the Susie go right or down first, depending on whether you chose horizontal or vertical. And that's the default one, so if you do not add start direction in your creation code, it will just move right or down. And -1 is left or up. So let's say we want to create an orange Susie that goes vertically and up first. Right, so then we need to add call equals 1, dir equals ver between these signs, and then start dir is -1. So to actually add that, we go to our room and right click on the object that you want to give the creation code to. Right click the Susie and hit creation code. Then you can write your code here. say call equals 1, which was orange, there equals ver, which was vertical, and start there equals -1, which means it will go up first. Let's see if we did everything correctly. Yes, I think we did. So now if we test, wait, one little thing. We actually wanted to bounce off the wall at the top there, or else it would just fly off forever. So let's create a little thing there as well. And if you have any of these high walls that you want to extend outside the section really, you need to put solids around here as well. I'd say 4, because else Mega Man can just rush coil up here and be above the section, and that's not what you want. You want to stop him from doing that. If you use 4 solids above the section, then you should be fine. Anyway, let's test if our little Susie works. There we go. Now, lastly, we want gimmicks. If you go to objects and level objects and then hit gimmicks, you generally want to choose either Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3. Test or something I use for testing, which you generally don't want to use, and you don't want to mess with parents. So select Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3 and then select a gimmick of your choice. And let's say I want to create a drop platform right above these spikes here. Or 2, just to be safe, you know. And then the drop platforms will just be there. Nothing else left to do. There are also gimmicks with a creation code, just like the Susie here. Just once again check their create events in their object and you will see if your gimmick requires any creation code or not. Now, finally we're getting to checkpoints. If you go to level objects, then checkpoint, you'll see object checkpoint. If you place it somewhere in the room, it's automatically 1 section high, which should be enough, but yeah. You can place it wherever you want. If Mega Man touches this, then the checkpoint will activate. So let's put it right here. So if Mega Man touches this, which is after you switch the section, then the checkpoint will be set. But you need to also tell the game where to spawn Mega Man after the checkpoint. So if we go to the object section here, go to level objects, checkpoint, object checkpoint, we can once again in the create event see creation code. Then XX equals number, the X position Mega Man should spawn at when using the checkpoint, and YY equals number, the Y position Mega Man should spawn at. So, with that out of the way, we basically need to tell which X position and which Y position we want to make Mega Man spawn at. So let's say we want to make Mega Man spawn here. Then on the bottom left here, if you look closely, you can see 2 values, the X value and the Y value. You need to remember these and or write them down, whatever, and then put them in the creation code of the checkpoint. So the X equals 464, Y equals 384. I hope I can remember that. 464, okay. So right click checkpoint, creation code, say XX equals 464. I forgot the Y, so I'm going to check again. Y equals 384, okay. And YY equals 384. So if we now run our game, and we should spawn right here. There we go. So now that's everything I wanted to cover for level design. Be sure to look forward to the next tutorial as well, because we are going to cover a lot more than just level design. You also probably want to add your own enemies, gimmicks, bosses and whatnot, so we'll get to that later. For now, thanks for watching, see you next time.